Luna, and welcome back to Bass Bites. This is the Sunset Edition. We're going to start looking at some kind of traditional tunes and some ways that, especially like as a beginning bluegrass bass player, if you're wanting to get past the root and the five or play in keys outside of, say, G. So a few considerations to look at. So we're going to look at More Pretty Girls Than One, and we're going to play it in C. So first off, if we're going through our chord changes, you've got C, G, back to C, and an F, back to C, and F. You've got a C, and sometimes they walk down to an A minor. Some people still stay on the C, so maybe we'll look at it both ways. And then at the end, you've got that classic 1-5-1 turnaround of the C, G, back to C. And when I'm saying 1-5-1, if we're in the key of C, you've got C, 1, D, E, F, G is your 5, and F is your 4. So it's a 1-4-5 tune, and pretty standard progression. So what I was doing right there is just roots and fives, which is just fine. But let's say you want to do something a little bit different. So, and I'm also, by the way, in this lower register, I've got the low C on the A string and the low G on the E string. Now sometimes that low G, you can hear there, I've got a tiny bit of a click if I'm not careful. If you've got a buzzy E string, that may not be a great note for you. So you can have your open G, but keeping in mind that if you do, that's generally going to ring out a lot more than this closed position C. So sometimes what I do is I will play a closed position C with my index on a C and my pinky up on a G that's on the D string. So, right? So that's one way to kind of even out your tone if that's feeling like too much, if that G is sticking out too much. Now you can, sometimes it's easier to hit this high C on the G string, and you can either, again, hit the G right under it or the open G, right? So this is good for getting to know your bass neck and just options in C, right? But that C, I tend to use more as like a highlight, you know, because I feel like nobody else in the band is going to have this lower register that I do down here. So if you're thinking there's more pretty girls than one, right? Or if I'm up here, there's more pretty girls than one. It's a personal preference thing, and there may be certain frequencies that stick out to you or your bandmates that you do or don't like. So I'll try to show you this highlight thing too, because if I'm here, so if you got do, 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 do. So maybe if I've got two measures of C, I'll go and hit that high one, and it kind of gives it a little lift. Or if I'm in between verses, right? So we're gonna fast forward here. There's more pretty girls than one. You know, I might do that kind of like at the end of something going into the next verse. We'll try to tie all that together. So back to adding more than the root and the five. So one option is you can start hitting the third. Okay, so on a C, this is where your little bit of music theory comes in handy, right? But even if you don't have it, you can start hearing these intervals, or be thinking of harmonized notes, or you'll get this sound in your ear, you know. So even if you're not thinking, oh, that's the third of the chord, you'll start hearing that it's like it leads your ear to something else, right? So in C, we have a C is the root, E is the third, G is the fifth. And since we're going from a C to a G right off the bat in this song, if I play that E where I would normally be playing a G, leads nicely. So if I've got, there's more pretty girls than one. So all I did there, instead of doing a C and a G, is I did a C and an E. But it gives you a little variety and lets you move your fingers a little bit as you're learning positions. And so then from there, if you want even something even more fancy, is to adjust the rhythm ever so slightly. And what I mean by that is, normally in bluegrass bass, if we're keeping things pretty simple, we're hitting on beats 1 and 3. So here, we're gonna hit on beats 1, 3, and 4. So if I've got, so this is just this first chord change from a C to a G, which is a 1 to a 5. And you can try this anywhere that there's a C to a G and see if you like it. We're going to hit a C, E, F, going to the G. And so the E comes on beat 3, the F comes on beat 4. So we've got, there's more pretty girls than one. Maybe on a solo when you're wanting to support things and give a little push, that extra beat can really help out. In a similar fashion, we can do that same rhythmic variation from the C to the F. There I'm hitting a C, D, E, F. So, and you can go back down from the F the same way you came. So now we're going from the F to the C. You can go F, E, D, C. You can go back up the same way. Now here, if you're doing the A minor, you can go up to this high C and walk down to the A minor, do a C, B, A, and just an E. Or you could walk back up, since we're just staying on that A minor for one measure. So you could walk back up from the A back to the C. So in context. So that's one option. And if you don't like going to that high C, you could do that same walk down to your A, just an octave lower, right? So you've got, I ramble all around. So you've got, you can also, looking at options for your 1 to your 4, the C to the F, you can do a slow chromatic walk up. There's more pretty girls than one. There's more pretty girls than one. So what I was doing there to the F, I've got a C, D, E flat, E to an F. So I'm spreading that out over 2 measures. And you could condense that to 1 measure. You'd just be hitting on beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you've got do, 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 right? So that's an option, and that might sound more appropriate like on a solo or something, if there's kind of that energy rising that you want to match. So let your ear be a judge on that. And I think that's what we're coming to with all of this, right? Is it's all personal preference.